Ladies and gentlemen, we have a substantial Brandon Aiyuk update. I know a lot of you are tired of the Brandon Aiyuk updates, but I think you're going to like this one because this is at least a trend. It's heading in the right direction. So let's take a look. Let's stop messing around. This is from Tom Palacero of the NFL Network. Just now says the 49ers have made a renewed effort in recent days to strike a long-term deal with wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, sources tell me and Mike Garafolo. The situation is fluid, and other teams, including Pittsburgh, are still in the mix, but a return to SF appears increasingly possible. Let's go. This is absolutely huge because this might mean that a bridge could be just could come together and they could be able to come across the finish line and get this thing done because I've been talking about it all day. The 49ers need Brandon Aiyuk. It's been abundantly clear at 49ers training camp that BA is missed and the offense misses his impact. And I would say that if anything, this training camp has only solidified the importance of Brandon Aiyuk. Think back to the 2019 season when the 49ers offense wasn't doing all that hot. They did start out 8-0, but a lot had to do with that defense. And when you looked at the offense, you had a rookie Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, Dante Pettis. You didn't have a ton of weapons out there to be able to use. And when the 49ers got to the trade deadline, they traded for Emmanuel Sanders, and the offense really started to take off. I likened what I saw in training camp to the 2019 offense before Emmanuel Sanders came. That's kind of what it looks like. Ricky Pearsall has been dealing with injuries. He's been banged up. He's still a rookie, still getting acclimated. Jacob Cowing, he's been dealing with injuries, banged up, still getting acclimated. You know, Chris Conley has looked really well. Juwan Jennings is Juwan Jennings. I don't think he's an X wide receiver. And we know what Deebo Samuel's had a phenomenal camp, but he's also not a true X, in my opinion. He's more of like a Z slot wide receiver. So you have missed Brandon Aiyuk. And so when you're looking at this entire situation and you're hearing about these deals and you're hearing about all these different situations and potential trades and all these things, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like that's going to help the San Francisco 49ers. That doesn't sound like this is going to be beneficial to the San Francisco 49ers. It feels like they're going to essentially lose. And wow. This is the development that we want. If you're a 49er fan, whether what has been said about a potential trade or not, this is the outcome that you want. You want them to be able to come together and come to an agreement because this team is infinitely worse without Brandon Aiyuk. And I mentioned it was on full display. We also had another update from Jordan Schultz from Bleacher Report, who said sources say 49er star wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk recently had a sit-down meeting with Kyle Shanahan and others in the organization where, quote, some open and candid thoughts were expressed. The two sides have since restarted negotiations on a long-term deal, and there is some optimism that Aiyuk could remain in SF. The situation remains very fluid, but a sudden development. So this is fantastic, fantastic news. This is what we want to hear. This is the updates that we want. Now, obviously, we don't like how it's gotten to this point, but I think I can speak for all of us that we just want to get this done, put it behind us, and focus on the upcoming season. But these updates are hitting like whatever right now. It's just absolutely great development because this is what we want. I fully believe that pretty much every single 49er fan who is interested in winning a Super Bowl this year would want Brandon Aiyuk back on this team, signed to a contract extension, and getting ready to go for the regular season. This whole boy, this is the development that we've been waiting for, we've been hoping for. I had heard something very similar yesterday about, because I'm sure you guys have heard me say that, man, it feels like he's out of here. It feels like it's just a matter of time. And that's what everyone was saying. And those were the things that we were hearing. And yesterday, I got a little note saying, not so fast. Not so fast. They might be coming together. They might be coming now. It was nothing official, so I'm not going to sit here and say I'm breaking any news or anything. But I did hear that there is a chance that these guys are going to come back together and have a conversation about maybe bridging this gap. And then boom, today this is what we have. So this is what we want. This is where we want to move. These are the things that we want to hear. And again, it doesn't sound like the gap is all that big. We heard from TJ Hushmanzado, went on 95.7 the game, who essentially said that Brandon Aiyuk to $28 million per year on average, that would get it done. It sounds like from the reporting that we've heard and what's out there on the internet is that it's at about 26, potentially, of where the last offered lied. So is that the gap? Are we dealing with a $2 million gap in APY in regards to where the 49ers need to meet Brandon Aiyuk in order to get a deal done? I think it's very important to note that if 28 gets it done, keep in mind the New England Patriots were willing to spend 32 and a half. And guys, I haven't seen the guarantees dropped on that deal, so I'm not going to say it out loud. I do have information on it that I do believe is accurate, and the guarantees were mind-boggling to the point where I was like, Brandon Aiyuk should accept that deal. I was like, I can't even fault him if he went to New England and accepted that contract. It was insane. We know what the APY was, 32 and a half, but the guarantees your jaw would hit the floor. So Brandon Aiyuk turned that down. But again, the market continues to dictate that even if you pay Brandon Aiyuk at 28, that's a steal. That's a steal. If this was free agency, Brandon Aiyuk could be potentially going beyond 32 and a half. He could be getting more potentially if there was a bidding, like a free agent bidding war that was generated. So that kind of puts into perspective, if the gap is really 26 to 28, teams are willing to pay 30 plus. If you sign him for 28, you still win. You still win as an organization. You don't take an L. You don't trade away your best wide receiver. This was clearly one of the biggest issues in training camp, was separation from the wide receiver position. You fix that immediately with a guy who fits perfectly with what you want to do. To me, I love this news. This is huge news. This is what we want to hear. Now we got to wait and see what's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.